It's definitely something that I wanted to happen, but I wasn't one of the kids who was like, he's definitely going to the NBA. I wasn't that kid. I was like outside looking in. I thought I had a shot, but if you would have asked anybody around, they'd have been like, no way. But I just kind of just kept working and didn't really let anybody tell me what I couldn't do. And I had some things go my way. I had some good luck, I think, like you need if you're going to make it far. I had some crazy luck happen to me a couple times. I mean, it just happened for me.
Caris LeVert of the Atlanta Hawks, in conversation with artist Jacob Rochester. We'll hear more from them in just a moment. Welcome to the Franchise Podcast, produced by Big Beach, where we highlight the best in basketball culture. This show is a flip through the pages of what we as a brand strive to deliver, an authentic, diverse, and contemporary representation of global basketball culture. Later in the show, we visit a park in Poland to see how basketball has brought a sense of normality back to those who desperately need it. But first, art recognizes art. Basketball isn't just a sport, it's a culture. It fosters a sense of community, creativity, and a way of life. You can argue that basketball is an art form in its own right, one that's inspired mediums across cultures such as music, fashion, and design. Here's Taylor Jones in conversation with two artists, Atlanta Hawks shooting guard Caris LeVert and musician, artist, and designer Jacob Rochester.
Welcome, guys.
Appreciate you. It's good, bro.
Jacob, you're a multifaceted creative. You wear a lot of different hats. Just how many art forms would you say make up your creative practice?
To be honest, I'd probably say just three mainly, being art, design, and music. And then I feel like there's probably more subcategories within each of those. But, for the most part, it's definitely three main ones.
So does one art form inform the other?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a pretty direct example is like if I'm digging for a sample, trying to make a beat, I'll, maybe find some crazy record cover or try to like find the credit or the artist that was behind the creation of the cover, you know what I mean? And then that ends up, informing my art in some way. And yeah, it definitely is kind of a hand-in-hand thing for sure.
Now, Caris, I know you're also multifaceted as a creative also, when it comes to your skills on the core and curating your looks for the tunnel walk. Can you tell us a bit about where this love for fashion originated and how it's evolved over time and in your career?
I think it just originated just from like my household. My mom is super into fashion. She used to tell us all the time, she was like best dressed in high school. Who knows if that's the truth, but she used to tell us that all the time. My dad was a graphic designer as well, so it's just something that's always been kind of just engraved in me. I think in high school is when I really started trying to just dress nice and look nice. And I think as a basketball player, we kind of have a distinct type of look, a lot of sweats and stuff, shorts, like to the games. In high school, flip-flops, that type of look to like AAU games and stuff like that. And then I think as you get older, it starts to evolve a little bit. And, people start to find their own style and their own looks and things like that. Like I said, for me, it started at a really early age.
Talk a little more about like your fashion and your inspirations with how you like put your fits together and like, what's your mindset when you're going through the tunnel?
Yeah, first and foremost, I try to think about the weather and what that's going to be like. And then like just depending on how I'm feeling that day. Sometimes if I have like fresh braids or something like that, I might wear like a more clean outfit. But if like I need like a rebraid or my hair is looking kind of crazy, I might wear something a little crazy.
What's that like traveling? Like you have to find different braiders every city or?
So sometimes I know braiders in a couple different cities, but usually I try to get my hair done before we leave. So right now we're on like a 12, 13 day trip, something like that. So I got it done right before we left. So toward the end of the trip, I might wear an afro, I don't know, find a braider out in Portland or something like that. But yeah, I usually try to plan ahead, but I don't stress about it too much. If I'm not feeling my hair, I'll just wear a fro.
So as an athlete and a basketball player, do you see yourself as an artist?
I would say so, definitely. And I think that anyone who, spends time on their craft and is working towards, creating something is a creative. And I take basketball really seriously. I've been working at it since I was a kid. And I'm, working to evolve it each and every day. And every time I'm in the gym, I feel like I'm creating something, whether that be practice, trying to get better at a specific skill, or if it's a game, trying to just showcase, what I've been working on, or just express what I've been working on or what's on my mind. Or, one game I may be super, just quiet. Another game I may be dunking and celebrating and things like that. It's more just how I'm feeling that day, to be honest with you.
I think there's parallels, pretty directly. Like, each player has a certain play set in the same way each artist has, a specific style. I might try to approach something with more of like an abstract kind of thing one day versus, having more of a kind of technical detailed painting another day or something, you know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like it definitely is parallels between basketball and art for sure.
Now I want to get both of your takes on basketball as an art form in itself. Identifying basketball as art is something we hear a lot from players these days. Jacob?
Franchise Magazine is a perfect example of that in itself. So many artists gravitate to basketball as, as a medium and as like a reference or inspiration for reference, me as well. So I definitely think that's, again, goes hand in hand.
I agree with what Jacob was saying. I feel like as basketball players, we kind of draw inspiration from artists and vice versa with music as well. Like that's another thing that's art that we kind of are inspired by. And it's something that, people gravitate towards. So I think there's a lot of just forms of art and forms of artists out there that people may not even think about.
Jacob, how has basketball played a role in your craft as a designer and an artist?
Yeah, man, it's funny. So like I grew up playing basketball. I played AAU for a couple years, and I always had like hoop dreams like every other kid. But I feel like when I got to AAU and started like playing, travel basketball is when my dreams started fading a bit. But but I feel like that's kind of what, made me realize that art and design is more so my actual passion. But yeah, I still think basketball is definitely like intrinsic in, my personal work.
So obviously, I think every player kind of has their own bag of skills, right? And within that, there are just so many different unique styles of play. So how would you describe your artistic bag?
Yeah, I'm more of an all-around type of guy. I have a very unique game. Offensively, I'm can do a lot of things really well. Like I pass, I can shoot, I can defend, rebound. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, like a gritty defender, but then offensively pretty smooth. But yeah, like I said, I'm pretty versatile in my approach for sure. And I've kind of always been that way. It's kind of how the game was taught to me as a kid. My dad really taught me the game from a point guard perspective. And then I got taller, kind of moved my position around a little bit, kind of had to evolve into more of a shooting guard type of player. But I've always learned the game from a point guard perspective. So I think that really opened my eyes just to being more versatile.
Does any of that resonate with you, Jacob? Like this idea that we're talking about of versatility and this all-around approach?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, even with just practicing with drawing or painting, I do try to dabble in different, mediums. A lot of times my stuff is more like technical. Like it's harder for me to do like an abstract kind of piece, for example. But yeah, I think versatility is just what helps a person grow as an artist, as a player. You want to try all those different things to see what works, see what doesn't.
So coming back to the parallels between basketball and design, what is it about those two things that you guys see a natural connection point?
First and foremost, it's something that we love to do. It's like a passion. And I think when you're really passionate about something, you kind of put your best work forward. So basketball is something I don't even think about as a job. It's like a passion for me. It's a hobby. I do it for free. It's one of those things. Like when people ask me what's my hobby, it's like basketball is my hobby. I feel like design is the same way. Like if you're, super invested in something, that'll bring out your best work. And I feel like the best players and the best designers, that's kind of their life. Basketball, design, whatever it may be. That's kind of what you do when you feel like you're kind of at peace when you're doing it.
Yeah, I agree with Caris, especially when trying to prepare or approach a project. I try to do a lot of research and kind of digging for certain things that will make the project easier to get to a final product. In the same way, you may practice before a game or, put in time to perfect the skills you're trying to perfect to have the best output for the game. So yeah, I definitely feel like there's parallels there as well.
So besides basketball, where else do you all take inspiration and cues from for your projects and your work off the court?
I would say maybe my family, just being around my family each and every day, they kind of just inspire me to be the best because I want the best for them. And I know that the better I am, the more that I produce, the more opportunities that will arise for all of us. So, just being around them, seeing, how we interact, we keep it super light. I have a big family. But yeah, just being around them, they inspire me each and every day to just go out there and just be myself and just go extremely hard for sure.
I feel that. For me, I think more directly related to like my practice, I feel like I try to surround myself with things that inspire me, so my crib is full of stuff that I've like collected over time, or a lot of times since my work is really referential, like I like collect images from, just random internet searches and stuff. I think a lot of like more visual stuff is how I get inspiration for my projects. And then for music is just kind of listening to other stuff and trying to open my palette for other sounds and stuff. So yeah. Yeah, we always talk about athletes and the pressure to perform on the big stage. Do you experience nerves or pressure when it comes to sharing your work to the world?
I don't know if I would say nerves per se. I would probably say just I'm super excited. I think when I was younger, I definitely had nerves. I don't even know if I would call it nerves though. It was more just I was just so anxious to play because I just knew I had put in so much work and I wanted it to go right. It wasn't necessarily nerves. It was just I was just so anxious, and I think over the years I've learned to just calm myself down. I do a lot of meditation now to just keep me grounded and keep me calm, but that was definitely something that I battled, I would say, more so in college. You go from high school playing in front of people that you know, and then you go to college and you're playing in front of like 12, 13,000. And that was a big, big change for me. So I struggled a little bit in my first year with that. But I think once I got used to just playing in front of people, just sharing my art in front of them, it was just different. And I think I've excelled since then.
Is it easy for you to like block out the crowd and all this stuff around you?
Yeah, so interesting story. So like I was getting really good at it, right before COVID. And I feel like I had mastered it like my third, fourth year. Because the NBA, that's another thing. Because I feel like I did well in college, I figured it out. And then you go to the NBA and it's more so entertainment than college. And you got people sitting courtside, musicians sitting courtside, people that you've listened to your whole life, they sitting courtside. So that's another thing to just try to block out. And I feel like, my third, fourth year, I kind of had figured it out and was blocking everything out. And then COVID happened. So then we were playing in the bubble in front of no fans. So that in itself was super weird because you get so much energy from the crowd and we're not playing in front of any crowd. There's no fans. It's really just us versus the other team. So there's really like no energy in the stadium. It was the weirdest thing. So we played there for maybe 2 months. And then even the year after that, for like the first maybe 4 or 5 months of the season, there were really no one in the stands. It was 20% capacity. So that was more so like COVID. But then as soon as like the fans came back, I noticed myself, I'm like, man, this is weird again. Like it feels like I haven't played in front of people in so long. So I kind of had to get used to that transition again. I think before each and every game, I'm almost smiling, laughing to myself like, man, I can't believe I really made it this far. It's crazy.
So Caris, fans of the game are always amazed by the abilities of elite athletes. As an athlete yourself, what impresses you most about other artists or designers?
For me, it's probably the ability to find so many new, just like inspirations and so many like variations of things. So like beats, how you make so many different beats, like how you can just sit in front of a computer all day and just make beats, or like designing, like how you find the inspiration to find so many different color schemes or patterns or things like that. It's just amazing how just the mind works, I think, is the most interesting thing to me. I know that for me, I wouldn't be able to do that. That's definitely hats off to doing that type of stuff for sure.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, and I think a lot of times I gain inspiration from just like my peers. One of my homies, Hassan Rahims, who's another designer, like looking at his stuff is always super inspiring. Like I tend to like enjoy work that kind of, is just different from what you normally see. And people that are able to take one idea and bring it to a whole different idea is just what kind of interests me the most. And then that kind of goes with how sampling is, or how if I paint from reference, how I can bring that to a completely different look from what it started at. I agree with Caris and like having variety and bringing something new to the table.
Okay, so we're going to wrap here in a moment. But before we wrap, I just kind of want to know how you're both looking forward, to expanding your game and your skills, going forward and in the seasons to come.
Yeah, I think for me, just trying to compete against myself, trying to do better than I did yesterday. And then if you keep that mindset, you'll look up a couple years and you'll be way better than you were. So I think for me, just being competitive with myself and just trying to stay as focused as possible and as locked in as possible. Because, in life, there's a lot of distractions. But if you stay focused, it's amazing how far you can go. If you have a plan and you're consistent with that plan and resilient with that plan. I think I saw the other day, someone was talking about the difference between consistency and like resiliency. And they're like, consistency is one thing, but resiliency is being consistent when you're going through something and it's not going your way and still being consistent with it. And I really took heed to that. I really was thinking about that over the past week, because that's so important in anything, especially, what we do with basketball, because it's definitely not going to go your way all the time. You playing against the best players in the world. You may have a great game today, or you may have a tough week or a tough month, just because it happens like that sometimes. But, resiliency is super important. So I think for me, just, staying resilient, staying consistent, and just staying focused.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like for me, it's the same thing, but also, just trying new things, never being complacent with what mediums I'm using, or I think that's what just will help evolve as an artist, as a person, as a player.
We wrap up this show with a reminder that while basketball inspires an entire culture of art, music, and design, it also represents something much bigger. It has the power to inspire humanity and brings families new and old together, on and off the court. For many, basketball is so much more than a game.
You're on a basketball court at the Świętokrzyski Park in central Warsaw, in the shadow of the massive Palace of Culture and Science. Since the beginning of the Russian Federation's invasion of Ukraine, these courts have become a kind of refuge for Ukrainian teens who have arrived in Warsaw to flee the ongoing war. Many have arrived on their own, with their parents and older siblings staying behind. Some have seen their cities destroyed or occupied by Russia. Some want to return and fight once they turn 18, while others have enrolled in university courses to prepare for life once the war ends. But all of them are here for the same reason: a shared love of basketball, a desire to make new friends far away from home, and to briefly escape the daily news of a war that is devastating their home country.
My name is Yaroslav. I'm from Marispol, that is a small town near Kyiv. I came to Warsaw about a week ago because there is a war in my country. So one of the best decisions for me is it was to move to Warsaw so I can study and don't afraid for myself. I started playing basketball about 4 years ago. I bought my first ball and meet my friend in my town court, and after that we started playing every day. I just play basketball and that's all. So.
Nikita. In Kyiv, I play in amateur league. Kyiv now have commandant hours, war, mobilization, and yeah, of course, I miss my city, family, friends, but actually, I can't go to Ukraine because I'm good for army, but. I am don't ready to die, like my friends. I'm so scared and just not ready to die. So yeah, something like this is so pessimistic, I understand, but yesterday or 2 days ago, Russian president or killer said that Russian army take new soldiers, 300,000, and I have many friends which work in Ukrainian army, and they said that this is terrible because this war minimum 2 years minimum. I hope that war will be for Ukraine and Russia destroyed.
Alex, I'm from Mariupol and play here around 1 year. My city destroyed. I have some photos of my sports hall in Mariupol. Destroyed is favorite my My memories, a lot memories in this place. I don't know when this ends, but I hope it will end soon. And I come back to my place, to my family, to my friends. My grandfather and grandmother stay here, stay in Mariupol. I'm 17. I can't fight, but I want.
My name is Mitro. When I played basketball in Kiev on my court, it was my first dream to make a dunk on a low rim, and when I did it at first, it was something special for me. I felt myself very good, and there was a higher rim there, and that was my next aim. And now I'm playing here because it's interesting and there is a special atmosphere here, and there are people who are not toxic, and they usually make you much more happier than you were before after playing. Even if you don't have a ball to play, you can just come and play with the guys here. Yaroslav, he is near me. We were studying in one college, and now we came here to study in Polish Japanese Academy of Computer Science. And today I'm here because there is a situation in our country also. But I think in some time it will all finish, and I think I will return there to my family.
Thanks for tuning in. Remember, like, subscribe, and listen to the Franchise Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.